Good evening and welcome to another WHODUNNIT. And if there are any citizens of Barania watching, I'll give you the good news and the bad news. Well, the good news is that your president has just been assassinated. In fact, he was electrocuted when he touched the towel rail. And the bad news is that we don't know who to congratulate for doing it. And now to welcome our guests. First, a lady who has managed to get out of a bed full of foreigners to be here tonight, Miss June Whitfield. Next, not only an actor and writer, but the producer of Triplets as well, Mr. Rodney Bewes. Welcome to this week's TV Times winner, Mrs. Sheila Brunel-Cohen from Mill Hill Village in London. Welcome. And tonight she'll be getting a double dose of Corporal Marsh because before he gives his men hell, he's dropped in here to solve this week's WHODUNNIT, Tony Selby. Now, I generally tell you at this point to look out for someone who's lying, but this week it's a little different because the guilty person is the one telling the truth. Everybody else is lying. You don't believe me? Well, let's hear what General Maurice Malcol has to say.
What? I don't care if he is the Prime Minister. Nobody is allowed to see that body. Nobody is allowed in that room. Idiot, show him in.
Enough of this charade, General. You know very well who did it. It was I. Now, write this down. I, Yuri Navarro, Prime Minister of Barania, did this day, the 25th of June, rid this country of its greatest obscenity, namely Boris Nudnik, President of Barania. Long live the President.
Tell me exactly how you did it.
I arrived here at exactly 2:30. The door was unguarded. I went straight into the solarium. It was I who tampered with the plug of the towel rail. I fixed it so that as soon as the President touched it, then I left. It was 2:45.
Is that all?
No, that is not all. Then I went to the newsroom and returned here until 3:15, when I went back to the solarium to see the President. I thought I would come early, President, to see if there was anything you wanted me to do before your broadcast.
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister. I do have a very important job for you.
Oh, yes, sir? What is that?
Go into the other room and pour Ravi Lazar a stiff drink. She just earned it.
It will be a pleasure, sir. It was all planned long ago.
Victor, you are the President's brother. What do you say to all this?
Navarro is lying. He may have wanted him dead, but that's as far as he got. He is a coward. I'm glad that I killed him. The world is now a much better place.
So you did it. Very interesting. Tell me how you helped to improve the world.
I cannot be a hypocrite. Everybody here knows how much we hated each other. It was easy, very easy. I always put in an appearance for the press whenever the President broadcasts. I arrived at 2:30 and came straight here to the president's private lounge. Ravy, Mrs. Laza was here. I poured myself a drink and also a glass of water. Everybody knew that he would sunray himself at 3 before the broadcast at 4, so it was easy to excuse myself. I went through the bathroom and then into the solarium. I wired the rail and poured the water onto the floor. I knew that the president wouldn't see the water when he arrived because he always approached the bed from his private entrance, which was on the left side of the bed. He would not see the floor beneath his right side until he got off. So then I returned into the lounge and I continued to drink with Mrs. Laza. Navarro didn't arrive until 3:30.
Very ingenious. Most impressive. Of course, my dear friends, it is a fact that our president was not loved.
Not loved? Ha! That's very good. He was the most hated man in this country of ours. And you came second.
Thank you, dear lady. That at least explains the last 2 confessions, which I must say came faster than any I've had to extract in the past. For 20 years, this country has been ruthlessly controlled by one man, Boris Nudnik. And it is true to say that any person who could shout that he or she killed the president, that person would have the greatest chance of taking over the government of this country by the demands of the people. Joseph Milner, for 20 years, aide and advisor to the president. You even advised him to get rid of me, didn't you, huh? What is your story? Confess, or will I have to torture you?
Oh, so you guessed, my dear chap. Well, I thought you would. I'd had enough of all the plotting and killing. For 20 years, I worked with and helped and was close to the most hated man in the country. Well, suddenly I just had enough. It wasn't an original idea. It's been done before. In Russia. They got rid of their head of secret police in exactly the same way. I was in the lounge here with Mrs. Laza.
Milner, you have appalling taste. Vodka and soda? Quite horrid. There you are.
Thank you.
What are you reading?
Oh, careful, dear lady. Even you could be shot for reading such propaganda.
One of the president's famous red lists. Typed on red.
Oh, that's the point. It represents all the political victims killed in the last 10 years.
And what are you going to do about it?
Do about it? I'm going to show it to the president. Right now, if you'll excuse me. May I come in, sir?
Yes, Milner?
Thank you.
Tell me why you choose to disturb me at this time.
Well, I thought this leaflet might be interesting to you before today's broadcast. It was taken from a student outside the palace.
Outside the palace?
Yes.
He's being dealt with?
Well, unfortunately, no. There was a riot and he got away.
Bunglers! Let me see the leaflet.
Yes, sir. That leaflet listed all the political executions over the last 10 years, and he just laughed. Well, he's not laughing now.
He's not, but I am. You idiot. You couldn't kill a mouse with a tank. I've planned this since that pig in there had my husband killed. My husband's newspaper began to expose the government, and in particular it began to expose Boris Nudnik. Then one night they came for my husband. I never saw him again. From that moment I swore I would kill Nudnik. I befriended the president with only one thought in mind, to plan his murder. Now I have, and at last I'm happy. This new robe really suits you. Goes so well with your coloring.
Not my coloring, my dear, my sun lamp's coloring. I've just time for one more session before my broadcast at 4 o'clock. Oh, my goggles.
No, I'll get them for you, my darling. Where are they?
They're in the pocket of my robe.
You must keep up appearances for your loyal viewers.
I
had already arranged for the plug to be fixed. All I needed to do was to switch on the towel rail and leave the rest to him.
What would I do without you?
Well, General, it's nearly 4 o'clock. In a few minutes, the cameras will be on. You will have to tell the people something. What are you going to say?
That is a very interesting point. Of course, it is a fact that nobody here can prove that they were in the solarium today, right?
You're playing games with us, General. Be very, very careful.
Careful, me, huh? I could have you all shot right now if I chose.
That would not be possible. The people would not allow it.
You're all overlooking something. You all seem to be under the illusion that this is a political crime. What about the money in the president's safe?
Welcome back to WHODUNNIT, where it appears that everybody is trying to get the credit for bumping off the President of Barania, who just wanted to get brown and got burnt to a crisp. But who should really get the credit? The suspects are Yuri Navarro, the Prime Minister, Victor, the ex-president's brother, Mrs. Revi Leza, who could be avenging her dead husband, Joseph Milner, aide and advisor to the late president, and lastly, General Maurice Malcol, who's just mentioned the money in the president's safe.
What money? What safe?
What money? What safe? Suddenly, nobody here seems to know anything. Bonds in US dollars, worth over 1 million, all in the safe in this room. Only this morning, I arrived here with an armed guard. I delivered a sealed envelope which had been sent from the American embassy. I knew that the envelope was worth over $1 million.
Have you looked inside the safe?
I don't have to. I know it will be empty. At 2 o'clock today, the president called me into this room.
Ah, come in, General. I've something of the gravest importance to show you.
Gone?
Gone. Now, the only two people who knew that envelope was in the safe, General, were me and you. Therefore, if that money is not returned within the next 24 hours, General, you are going to be a dead General.
The matter will be attended to without fail, sir.
Enough of this. I have confessed to ridding this country of a plague. I am prepared to go out there in front of that camera and to throw myself on the mercy of the people. You say that I didn't do it, and now you say that a robbery has taken place.
General, this robbery of yours sounds like fantasy to me. It would be very convenient for you at this time, perhaps to rid yourself of a few rivals. You are twisting the situation for your own gain.
Did you know that this picture was painted by the president himself, and
It is not important who painted the picture. The important thing is who removed it from that wall and opened the safe.
And you say that you gave the envelope to the president, and he put it inside the safe? Yes?
That is correct.
I think I'm getting your drift.
Drift? The only place this young lady is going to drift is before a firing squad.
Oh, patience, mon général, patience. Let me tell you something. I have an art collection which is valued at more than $100,000. Madame Lars, I hear, was an art critic on her late husband's newspaper. Victor has an art collection even more valuable than mine.
What has all this rubbish got to do with the theft?
Because, General, when you say that the President called you in, showed you his empty safe, and replaced the picture, you destroy your own story. I think that envelope is right there in your left pocket.
I don't have to explain anything to any of you. It is nearly 4 o'clock. I have prepared a written statement, which I will broadcast right now to the people of Barania.
We have been waiting for you.
Everything is ready then. This is General Malkol speaking to you from the palace of the late President of Barania. Yes, the late President Boris Nudnik died today of electrocution and heart attack. It was not an accident. I arranged it to free my country of a tyranny which I know you, the people, did not want. I will take over the government until free elections can be arranged, however long that may be. There will be another bulletin in 1 hour's time. Long live Barania!
You say you killed him?
How? I don't have to tell you, but I will. I came into the newsroom at 1:30. I wanted to see the latest news on the teleprinter. I was alone. It was not difficult to go into the sunroom and arrange things.
You can't prove you did it. This is the news report.
Yes, it is. Milner, I have to admit that I can't prove that I did it. But, and this is the important but, I can prove that 3 of you also didn't do it. And the other one, the other one will be shot for robbery.
Well, now, as I said, everyone's claiming they did it. But if you've watched and listened carefully, you'll have spotted that only one of the stories could be true. Now, the panel can now ask each for a playback of the action. So, what would they like to see? June, what would you like to see?
I would please like to see when Victor went into the bathroom and put the water on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Rodney?
I'd like to see when the General went into the teleprinter room.
Right. Sheila?
I'd like to see where Colonel Milner went into the solarium.
Right. Tony?
I'd like to see when the General put the envelope in the safe.
Fine. Shall be done. Well, while we're looking for those, let's have some questions. June, what about a question from you?
Yes. Could I please ask Colonel Milner if he knows the time that he and Mrs. Lacer had a drink together? What time was it about?
Oh, by all means, my dear lady, yes. We were having a drink, if you remember, and then I said that I had gone to the solarium. It was just on 3 o'clock.
About 3 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Rodney?
Yes. When the General, sir, when the General asked when you made the broadcast,
Yes.
in front of the cameras to tell the people, the cameraman with the poncho on and the straw hat, right?
It's the only camera. We're a very poor country. We only
Yes.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I thought he looked like Clint Eastwood to me. So he didn't have the cigar, did he? You'd have seen the puff of cigar from the back of it being Clint, wouldn't you?
Mr. Bewes, there was also a slight difference in colour, I think.
Oh, there was?
Oh, yes, I think there was.
There's another clue, you see. That'll be a clue, won't it?
Yeah.
I'm allergic to horses, you know, which is not many people know this. And that's why Clint has got on.
Yes. You didn't understand the humour.
No, but I sometimes the English humor, it is very, very strange. But I laugh together. I laughed inwardly with all the people.
Good, I'm so glad. We are very much relieved. Sheila.
Yes, the guard. Now, right at the very beginning, you came in and whispered something to the General. What did you say?
Well, that was a secret. That was to tell him that, no, it's a secret.
That will do.
I'm bound to swear I was on oath, as I'm a soldier of fortune, and I'm paid as such.
And if you don't shut up, you might get the chop.
Yes.
Yes. We know. Right. Oh, ready for the first replay. The first replay, where are they? Where is it? The first replay. Yes. Hang about. Keep talking.
Victor,
anybody want a question?
I think it is.
Whose is it? Yes.
It's me, I think.
June. Yes. You wanted to see, you asked to see Victor watering the floor.
Yes, please.
I knew that the president wouldn't see the water when he arrived because he always approached the bed from his private entrance, which was on the left side of the bed. He would not see the floor beneath his right side until he got off.
He's rather lucky to get off, I think. Thank you.
I'm sorry to have held you up on that. I had them in my pocket. Couldn't find them. Yes. Would you like to ask a question pertaining to what you've just seen played back?
I was a little worried that he stood in the water, but I'm not quite enough of an electrician or a assassin to know whether, in fact, he would have bumped himself off. And if... May I perhaps ask Victor?
Question of wiring, how you wire, which wires you put.
But was it already wired, or were you then wiring it?
I was wiring it. It wasn't wired. It wasn't
Standing
connected.
in the water, you were wiring it?
Yeah.
I see. Thank you. Lucky man.
Yes, he's not a very happy man himself.
It wasn't connected. There was no...
He hadn't connected. And also, have you got...
It was in the wall, actually.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the power.
But when you bunged it in the plug hole...
He turned it off at the mains.
Oh,
How about that?
I see.
And your shoes? What are your shoes?
Rubber. In the bottom.
He hasn't answered everything, it seems. Yes. Right. Anybody got a question?
Mrs. Raver. Ravy Laser.
Revy Laza.
Mrs. Revy Laza. That Cherryog is your dog?
Yes, it is.
Is it very well trained?
No, she's not very house trained. In fact,
She might well have gone into
She does puddles all over the place.
Yeah, that's right. She might well have gone into the bathroom and peed by the radio.
Laza didn't point out that the dog, while not being house trained, is palace trained.
Yes, actually, Mrs. Laza did point it out, but it was not heard. Yes.
She'll explain it properly.
Can I ask Colonel Milner? You seem to be, amongst all these foreigners, the only one with a really super English cultured accent. How do you come by that, and why are you with this shower?
Well, dear lady, shall we say Cheam, Cheltenham, Sandhurst, the Brigade? Didn't expect me to talk like that then, did you?
Well, how did you get yourself into this country then, if you had all that good background?
Well, when I was I resigned my commission from the brigade. I took with me my friend and what is sometimes called Batman, Guardsman Selby. We came around the world in one direction and another, and finally we landed here. Nice country, splendid people.
Thank you very much indeed. Most interesting. You'll be writing your autobiography very shortly, I presume. You're ready for the next replay, which is Sheila's. As you won the TV Times competition, this should be easy, but to help you, here's your playback. Milner taking the red list into the president for him to read. Here it is.
It was taken from a student outside the palace.
Outside the palace?
Yes.
He's being dealt with?
Well, unfortunately, no. There was a riot and he got away.
Bunglers! Let me see the leaflet.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, well, Colonel Milner, who did you go into the solarium after? Who was the person before you?
I really don't keep count of the comings and goings of people in the palace, you know. I was enjoying a drink with my friend, and I then decided to make my way to see my chief.
And then on the floor of the solarium, wasn't there enough puddles without you adding to them?
There were no puddles at that moment, I assure you.
Oh, so nobody else had been in before you?
Well, I wouldn't know whether maybe they did their puddles in some other portion of the palace.
You must remember, too, that you see there is a lot of lying going on.
I know.
Yes.
You're lying in your teeth.
Yes. Any other questions? June?
I just wondered, again, Colonel Milner, what was the point of showing the red list to the President, as it was, I think you said, a list of people who'd already been disposed of?
Correct, yes. Well, the President, of course, was an extremely busy man, as I shall be probably when I become President next. And
you have it in mind?
I beg your pardon?
You do have it in mind to become President?
Yes, I do, yes. I think it would be good for all of us.
Good.
But anyway, I took him the list because, as I say, he's a busy fellow. He wouldn't remember perhaps some of the names that he might wish to refer to in his broadcast as a warning to others.
Yeah, there were no new names on the list who were about to be
chopped.
I don't think so.
like me.
They were those who had been executed in the last 10 years.
Thank you very much indeed. We're ready now for the next replay. This is for Sergeant Marsh. You wanted to see the General's flashback when the President put the money in the safe. Or did he? Well, get your eagle eyes out, because here it is.
I delivered a sealed envelope which had been sent from the American Embassy. I knew that the envelope was worth over $1 million.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something there.
Good. Where?
I don't know, but that painting was the wrong way up.
Oh,
yes.
I never
Was it?
noticed.
Was it?
Yeah.
That painting is the wrong way up.
Oh, that's very observant of you.
And the guard. Guard, were you on the door?
Stand to attention! You're holding that bleeding rifle like a pussycat!
What sort of a weapon is that? You won't be no trouble. What sort of a weapon is that?
This is a Baronia Mark III GTH automatic.
And it's full of water, isn't it? That's another one. Yes, right. Thank you.
Right, it's time for your flashback, Rodney. I'm only sorry I can't have one of your T-shirts. But you asked for another look at the General in the teleprinter room. So here's your second chance to check the small print.
How? I don't have to tell you, but I will. I came into the newsroom at 1:30. I wanted to see the latest news on the teleprinter. I was alone. It was not difficult to go into the sunroom and arrange things.
Ah, very interesting. Yes. That sort of clarifies it all, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
All clear now? We know,
Yes.
don't we? Yes.
Would anybody like to ask the Prime Minister a question? There he is sitting
Yes.
there.
I
there
think
must
it was
be
the
somebody.
lady in the white coat outside the solarium that we didn't see, that you give a penny to and put in a... Right, I'll ask the Prime Minister a
Oh,
question.
good, yes.
Where is Barania?
Well, it's a little south of Wallachia, east of Moldavia, and I think it's Albania that prevents it being pushed into the Adriatic.
Oh, it's nothing to do with City Barania then. You're too young to remember City Barania, yes. Well, I don't think you're quite as harmless as you look.
No, I assure you, sir.
I mean, how did you get all this electrical knowledge? How do you know to tamper? You want us to believe that you did it, like everybody wants us to believe they did it to protect somebody, who we shall discover. How do you know to tamper with a plug? What do you do?
Everybody nowadays knows how to tamper with a plug, I think. These days of domestic upheaval, we always have some relative we want to get rid of. If you put the earth and the live wire together and put it back in the plug hole.
And stand in a puddle.
That's right.
Yes, I see.
Without your rubber shoes.
Yes, Chief.
Can I ask Mrs. Laser, you say that you have a marvellous art collection, or at least your husband.
I was an art critic.
Oh, you're
my
not
husband's
critic. Oh, so you know all about all these lovely pictures that are in this room. Would you say that all of them are genuine?
Oh, they're very good, yes.
All of them?
All of them, yes.
The astonishing thing is that nearly all of them are old masters, except one, which is that very modern picture over the safe.
Yes, well, that was the president's own painting.
I see.
One had to say that he was very, very good.
Thank you.
Yes, Tony.
Otherwise one was shot.
Yes, Tony.
But, nobody's quite sure which way to hang that one.
Oh, I think so. Is the signature not visible?
No, there isn't a signature
There
on
isn't
it.
a signature on it. I can't see it from here. Which way up should it be, General?
Is that the correct
Well,
way?
the thing is about the president, he was he was a very peculiar person, and he would very often put that picture. One day it would be upside down, one day east to west, as it were. He just painted these modern pictures, and one day he would say to me, "How do you like it this way up?" And I said, "That's lovely. How do you like it this way?" And this is lovely. So he would do it anyway. To me, it was nothing.
But that is quite true,
Could I
because
ask,
an
John,
abstract...
I'm sorry, could I ask the General a question? Why are you playing with the plug?
Well, this is a plug I have just received from your country, and it is very interesting. I find it very fascinating. So
I think it's the same plug as that was in the solarium, isn't it? Because it's got the flexes. Do you say flex down here? It's red and white. And it was red and white in the playbacks that we saw. So that is the actual plug, I take it, is it?
I don't really know. It was the flex, as you call it, could be our own, but the plug, as you see, is from the West. But I find it fascinating, and I'm enjoying it. Go ahead.
He doesn't want to answer your question.
They wouldn't have given him the plug to play with unless it was important, right? Like the dog.
Oh, he can do what he likes, after all. He's a very important man. If he wants to fiddle around with the plug, he does.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, of course.
General, this loot that was put into the safe, all these dollars,
Yes.
where do they come from?
Where did the money come from?
Yes.
It came from our friends and allies, the Americans.
And what for?
To help our country. We've had all sorts of problems, industrial disputes. Cement, of course, is our staple industry. And
Buzz, there we go.
Yes, thank you.
Time is up. So while the panel finished writing down whodunit and how they spotted it, I'm going to show you, the crime spotters at home, a clip of the president dying. Now look out for details that may not correspond with some of the suspect's stories. Yes, well, I'm sure that was of an enormous help to you. Right, panel, may I have your cards, please? Tony, your card. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. Thank you, June. Nobody can change their mind. I've got the cards. Let's now hear from the panel. June, who done it? And a clue, please.
You want me to say?
Yes, I want you to say.
Revy certainly took the money from the safe. Do I have to say why?
Yes, of course.
Because it was during the time that Colonel Milner took the red list in that the picture changed from upside to downside. Tony mentioned the picture was you know, the other way up. And it was, I think, during that time that it changed, and she was the only person who could have done it. And I think she was liaising with Victor, because it wouldn't be Colonel Milner, because he went out of the room and he wouldn't have had to.
Yes.
And so I think that Revy had her eyes on Victor as her next victim.
Right.
And that was it.
Thank you very much indeed. Good. Yes. And what do you think, Rodney?
I think it was Mrs. Revi Lasser. Don't ask me why. You're going to answer why. Now, why?
Short.
Why did she do it? She was choked about her first husband being rubbed out, retired quickly. She knew about art. I thought she knew about art, so she could do the picture. But all the fellas lied to make you think they did it. Well, a fella wouldn't lie to protect another fella, would he? But I'd lie to protect her, wouldn't you?
Thank you. Sheila.
Well, I think Colonel Milner did it. I have the complete answer.
And what is it?
I have no idea.
A very good bit of reasoning. Yes, thank you. Tony Selby.
I think Mrs. Larser did it. Because out of all the motives, they all seem to have a few, Bob, don't they?
Yeah.
You see?
Yes.
There's only one real strong motive, and that is the passion of a woman for a fella. And her husband was killed by the president. And hell hath no fury.
You're not a mug, are you?
I believe that is the strongest. That's a very personal motive beyond the money and the.
Very good. You may be utterly wrong.
Oh, probably am.
Yes.
Probably am.
Anyway, it was a very
there's something to do with the paintings and the money, but.
Well, we'll see. We will see. Thank you very much indeed. Right. Let's see if they are right. Will the real whodunit stand up, please?
Oh, they will.
Sit down. Enough of this gallantry.
As he says, enough of this gallantry. Well done. Congratulations. 3 of you got it right. Well done. Congratulations. Well, did you solve it at home? It was not one person's lies that you should have been looking out for tonight, but 4. 4 people were lying. Did you spot the deliberate mistakes? Now, the door into the solarium needed 2 hands to open it. Navarro, who has only 1 arm, he could not have entered the solarium the second time on his own. Victor couldn't have poured the water on the floor first and then tampered with the plug. He would have electrocuted himself. Milner said the president was reading the red list through his sunray goggles, but you can't read black type on red through sunray goggles. The whole page looks black. General Malcolm couldn't have read the news report at 3:30, at 1:30, because it was headed received 3:30, and the clock also said 3:30. And the president would hardly have replaced his own picture upside down, as seen in the general's flashback, which leaves Mrs. Larser telling the truth and guilty of the crime. Long may she reign as president. Now, next week, our guests will be William Franklin, Sandra Dickinson, and Gordon Honeycomb. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm not trying to get a tan, I'm just going off to the theatre on my motorbike. Good night.